I have, so he claims, and he says Gustav Garber's own bibliography can make up a whole book, meaning all the writings I do, etc. Anyway, I appreciate him. He comes from Japanese background, but he has a very Anglo-Saxon name, Wesley somebody, but he's from Japanese background, and I'm going to make sure I make contact with him next semester just to schmooze a little bit and tell him about Japanese Jews and stuff of that nature. What my three students here do not know is that the teacher of the Japanese family, the royal family of Japan, when my family made Aliyah in 1950, when was it, 1958, and around 1954, the actual teacher of the royal family of Japan converted to Judaism and took on the name of Abraham. He was alive still when we made Aliyah to Israel, and that's unusual to have the royal teacher himself come a convert to Judaism. There are Japanese Jews, let's put it that way. There are Jews all over the place, but there certainly are Japanese Jews as well. Chinese, way back when. How's it? Silk Route, Chinese? Chinese is another number. Yeah, Chinese. Well, part of Chinese is because people like from Hana's background and Moroccan, whatever backgrounds, landed in China to escape the war, whatever, and as a result, they developed their own communities. But even before that, I know that's what you're saying, Shanghai now, but before World War II, thousands. That's right, before that. All right, wait a minute right now. Anyway, I have now in my hand the book I mentioned to you last week. I need to tell you something about it. If you look at the actual cover, it says crowns, crosses, and stars. The crowns refers to royalty. The crosses refers to Christianity. The stars refer to the United States of America and also the Jewish Star of David. If you look very carefully, the woman that's walking out is the person who's responsible for this autobiography. Her name in Prussian is Sybil von Zell. Her family was very high up and very royal blood, and so it has by a name a baroness. So Sybil Baroness von Zell. She also is the wife of Norman of Niemöller. What's Niemöller's first name again? My goodness, how can I forget it? Anyway, it's not Norman anymore, but Niemöller. It's amazing how my mind goes blank. Anyway, Niemöller, his second wife, was this particular woman. He actually was the pastor to her when she was a child. Let's see if I have the name. Martin Niemöller, right? Martin Niemöller, right? Martin Niemöller, and she basically knew him as a child. She eventually marries him after the Second World War, and in the marriage to him, she converts also to Judaism, which he did not necessarily approve very much, but he had no choice, according to what she told me. I became very friendly with her due to conferences that she heard me speak at, and then at the end of her life, I think I told you, she permitted herself to be exterminated by cremation rather than traditional Jewish burial. This is what she looks like at the end of her life. If you take a look very carefully, a very attractive woman. She kept herself very nice and naturally had the royal blood to do something of that nature. But she was so identified with the Shoah that she basically went with extermination, I guess, at the end. She's walking with her cousin. The cousin actually had a bomb in his hand. He would have blown up Hitler. He was one of the two people close to Hitler to blow him up. This is a first cousin of hers. They detected who he was. He was killed by a firing squad the next day. And so that's part of her story as well. And in fact, the title was Crowns, Crosses, and Stars, My Youth in Prussia, Surviving Hitler, and Life Beyond. And her official name, Sybil Sarah. She took on the Jewish name, the Hebrew name is Sarah, when she converted to Judaism, as all Jewish women were known by Hitler as Sarah. That's another reason why. Niemöller and then Baroness von Zell. She was a very articulate woman, and tragically, she made the decision that she did. I've been asked by a number of people, was I aware of her decision? If I were, Hannah, if I were, I would have stopped her. I would have gone face to face and said, Khalil, it's forbidden. I naturally would have respected her decision, but I would have interceded if I had the knowledge. I did not. And I was very distraught by it as a result. Anyway, that's the story there. And regarding this, there's something that happened this week. Not quite sure what's happening this week. All I know is that America and Iran are supposed to have a handshake together. I don't believe it for one moment. Already, America has fired on Iran because of the water passages there, and we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, if you're curious what's happening in Iran right now, if there is going to be a peace agreement, the Iranian people like Hannah, are upset that the Shah himself will not be given the presidency. One of the former presidents of Iran is going to come back into office again. He's the one that has that face. How can I tell you? I don't know his name if I hear it, and he's also, part of the old school there. So I don't know how peaceful that's going to be. But it's not for me to make these decisions, nor for Israel. But America's president has said that Israel, if necessary, will defend itself if it has to. So we might go back to that again, but I'm sure things have changed in Iran. Okay, with that said, let's now get back into our Hebrew. And what I'm going to do is try to pick selections of what you should be doing for your last assignment. Already, if you did the 5 pages I asked you to do, and during the break, I'll go over them with you again, Jeremiah. But the next assignment will be from this issue or from this lesson we're doing now. What we did so far, or the last thing, were different words that dealt with countries and the singular, the feminine, masculine, and feminine, singular, and then the plural, the masculine, feminine, plural, etc.
From 139?
Okay, I'm not there yet. Anyway, on page 139 is where I think we left off. And as you might remember, just looking at Edna Coffin's way of doing things, I'm going to pick up on what she writes. She writes the word Yisraeli on page 139. Okay, the first column is supposed to be masculine singular. The second one is feminine singular. The third is masculine plural. And the fourth is feminine plural. Notice what she writes, Yisraeli. When Zev Garber writes the word Yisraeli on the board, I wrote the words Yehudi, the word Kushi, and I wrote another word on the boards, Ivri. Those were my words on the board. And then when I wrote my words on the board, I gave a double meaning. I said, for example, regarding the word Kushi, Kushi is both a noun, an Ethiopian, or an African. How does that term has also been used these days, and also is an adjective. So when I say an African is sitting in the classroom, I have in mind a noun. If I say I'm reading an African book, I'm reading a book, and the adjective is an African book rather than a Argentinian book or a Hebrew book or whatever. So that word Yisraeli, from based on what I told you, can be also the noun Israeli, and the word Yisraeli can also be the adjective Israeli masculine singular. Then we have the word Yisraelit, and that word Yisraelit ending with the Chirik Yotav sounds like the word Ivrit, sounds like the word Kushit, sounds like the word Yehudit, meaning the word used as an adjective, not as a noun. But according to Mrs. Coffin, she doesn't say that. She has Yisraelit under the word people, so Yisraelit can also be a person. If you want to follow what I did, a person would be Yisraeliyah. I don't know how many people even say Yisraeliyah, but okay. Yes. We're looking at page 139. Okay. Anyway, Yisraelit, she uses for both the adjective and for a noun. Based on what I gave you, Yisraelit is strictly an adjective, and Yisraeliyah, if you want to make a word up, That's the word for the noun. Then when it comes to the masculine plural, she has Yisraelim. That would be the masculine plural Israelis, masculine plural as a noun. And then the adjective would be Yisraelim. So what I'm suggesting is that probably Israeli Hebrew has eliminated the two forms as I given them to you last time. I want you to know the two forms because that's how you're going to read literature one day, and that's how those forms are used. So she may not be that flexible and be very selective and give you only one word, both adjective and noun. I want you to know both words. Anyway, she has Yisraelim, that will be the noun, Israelis, and Yisraelim would be the adjective, Israelis as a male adjective plural. And then for the feminine plural, both the noun and the adjective, we told you, is one word, Yisraeliot, and she has the same word, Yisraeliot here, which means Israeli women, strictly feminine, or a mixture, men and women together.
Eot could be a mixture too?
Excuse me?
Eot could be a mixture like in?
No. When you have the ot ending, that basically is a feminine marker, strictly. And now let me bring you up to Los Angeles Valley College. I've got to be very frank about it. According to the assessment made of Zev Garber, everything is fine, fine. And then I'm told that Los Angeles Valley College does not believe anymore in gender distinction. That somehow you got to respect the LG, whatever those letters are. You got to respect anybody, however they come into class with their free speech, etc. And I guess when it comes to language now, you cannot make a distinction between male and female.
Oh, that's nonsense.
This is now a suggestion I have to consider, and basically I would tell the administration and the whole community college district board, you're not going to change the Hebrew language. What you're doing is you're literally neutralizing a language, not just Hebrew. I suspect Farsi has male and female. I suspect all languages do. So what do you want to do? Have a genderless language? That's what's happening. And I got to bring you into this, Yirmiyahu. My wife is very astute. She watches the news from Israel day and night, and night and day. There's a program of 4 women. They're all Israelis. 3 of them are white. 1 of them is black. The black woman is extremely articulate. The black woman is from South Africa. The black woman is Jewish as Jewish can be. And the black woman happens to be transgender. My wife said, good Lord, you can't tell the difference with her. She's so articulate. She went among the Palestinians. She dresses like them. She comes back and gives a report. And she said, you can't trust these people at all. Now, she's a woman. I said to Susan, I said to my wife, she's transgender. So as far as my wife is concerned, she's got a hard time. She'll be polite if she ever met this person, but she doesn't know how to deal with transgender people. I said, well, you got to get used to it. But you got to understand that my wife is more conservative than I could possibly even imagine myself to be. But this is the problem, what's happening right now. And there is an attempt with the National Association of Professors of Hebrew to get rid of the masculine plural to include both men and female together. So if you look at my look at my address where I have a little write-up about myself, where I have the address by the NAPHD Garrett, which I edit. Go there and you'll see the official website of NAPH will have the word professorim and then slash it with professoriot. They have both words that are used with the syllables indicating male and female rather than one syllable, the masculine one, which includes male and female. So that's what NAPH is doing right now. And current Israeli writing, I'm sure, reflects this neutralization of the language. The difficulty is going to deal with the situation of literary Hebrew. And let me give you an example. As you now know, I do a lot of writing. One of the things I'm doing right now are abstracts for the Old Testament, abstract publication of the Roman Catholic, school of thought. And I'm the only Jew on their editorial board, and I enjoy what I'm doing. and I'm doing now reviews of books found or articles found in the Association of Jewish Studies, that group you know about, and their journal called AJS Review, Association of Jewish Studies Review. The article I just finished, and I'm now going to write the abstract on, deals with the incident which has the title, "A Father Should Not Teach His Daughter Torah." The father should not teach his daughter Torah. It's based upon a biblical concept that's defined, or a rabbinical concept, where the father basically is instructed not to teach the daughter Torah, meaning Torah study is only for men and for boys and not for women. Why so? Women have other obligations, and one of the statements mentioned is that a woman doesn't have the patience enough or the mentality enough, Hannah, to be able to sit in the classroom with men and learn day and night. They have other obligations, and respect that. However, there is the incident which starts this whole discussion, and it deals with Sota. Sota is one of the Mishnaic tractates. The word Sota, as it's written in English, SOT.A. As it's written in Hebrew, I don't know how you write it in Hebrew, Sota. I don't know if that's a regular S with a samech, if it's a sin or whatever. But if you have a D with a dot under it, it definitely is with a tet. And what I'm going to do is double check the spelling of that word sota.
What does it literally mean? Waters?
Sota means adultery. Sota translates as adultery. Sanskrit translates as some kind of naughty, disorderly act. But you'll see what I'm getting at in a second and why I'm making this whole point in a class of Hebrew. I'm going to double check the spelling of that word. My first instance is to write it with a samach. But since I don't hang around with adulteress all the time, I'm not quite sure what the proper spelling should be. Now I can consult with Jeremiah, but Jeremiah is going to say, "Excuse me, Professor." In fact, the word for adultery has nothing to do with sota at all. I'm looking at the words, is sinut, for example, it's nu'uf. So where does sota come across as adultery in the article I'm reading, done by a professor from the Hebrew University? I don't know, except that it could be associated with acts of adulterous behavior. Let me just see, I don't know. I want to see the spelling with a samach in Hebrew. Just bear with me for one moment, and then let me see the translation.
So they made it labor with,
No, well, the incident that's described there, as you'll find out, is some kind of act that is adulterous. So that's why maybe the translation has it. But let me see if the word sota. Just 1 minute, Baruch. I'm checking the spelling of this word. I'm going to check it with a tet letter. Yeah. Sota, the way I spelled it. Sota, the way I spelled it. And let me say something, in my 85th year, this is the first time I've ever written the word sota. So Hannah feels a little relieved. At least my professor doesn't know the word. If he did, I have a little suspicion about him. And this is the first time he's actually writing the word sota. What you got to do, my dear Hannah, is ask your Baal, write the word sota for me. That's how you spell it. If he spells it differently, then something's going on. If he writes it properly, then something is mastered. The word sota is translated as wife suspected of adultery.
a wayward wife.
A wife. A wife.
Wayward wife.
A wife suspected of adultery. Sota. Hannah, you are the only wife in my classroom right now. All women who are married have the possibility of getting divorced 1, 2, 3 without any kind of reimbursement if they are suspected of adultery.
Yeah, that's because if they don't want to drink the water.
Just well, that's that, yes, Baruch. Yeah, Baruch. Wait a minute. You got the point. You got the point. Wait a minute, Baruch. You got to relax a second. The wife suspected of adultery. I'm giving you the source of this verse that's found in rabbinic literature that a father does not teach his daughter Torah. The background of that verse comes from a controversy between two rabbis in a major debate of a sota, a woman suspected of adultery. If a woman is suspected of adultery, Hannah, we're paying attention very carefully. She's brought before court, a beit din, and she's given a bottle of water. The bottle of water has chemicals in it.
No, it has a scroll and it has the same names and it's dissolved into the water.
All I know is there's a little chemical in that bottle of water, and the water is very bitter. The bitterness of drinking that water will reveal whether she's telling the truth, I'm not guilty, or whether something is going on with her.
But two things, she could drink the water, nothing happens if her husband cheats.
That's true.
It is
That's
a cheater.
always after, yeah, Baruch, you're getting ahead of everything. I'm not interested in that yet. So what's this got to do with a woman being taught Torah? A woman who's taught Torah, the water will not be as bitter. The water will somehow be swallowed in a more mellow fashion. Question: what's going on here? Now you start thinking with your heads right now. If a woman studies Torah, do you think she's that stupid to get involved that openly with an adulterous act? And if she has studied Torah, she has a type of mindset that can handle the bitterness and the accusation by her husband Baruch that she's guilty of adultery. If she doesn't study Torah, she doesn't get involved this way, or rather, if she gets involved this way, she is going to be exposed how much easier. Torah somehow can defend you when you do an act which is wrong. Or put it this way, if you study Torah, maybe you prevent yourself from doing such an act.
But if she's righteous and was not an adulteress, she's blessed with children. Even if she was unable to have children.
You're going to halacha right now. I'm just trying to understand why the statement a father should not teach his daughter Torah. And to teach his daughter Torah will somehow give him defense, the daughter, of how to avoid being accused of adultery that easily. She'll know how to avoid it. She'll know the tricks of what to use. She'll know how to use a good defense.
Or, I'm sorry, I gotta say this, but she also has the option if she's guilty. Says, no, I forgot the test. I'm an adulteress. Let's get a divorce. So that way, she don't have to go through the agony.
Send her away if what?
No, I'm saying that if she forgoes the test because she knows she's an adulteress and what's going to happen, when it says will extend, so she avoids it and she says, okay, I'm an adulteress. She doesn't have to go the trial by ordeal, and then they're probably a divorce. Or she gets a couple lashes, whatever the punishment is.
Okay, but she's basically proclaiming herself to be guilty.
Yeah, and then she can avoid
Okay.
drinking it all.
All right, my whole point was not to go into a whole scene. I just want to get across the father doesn't teach his daughter Torah type of thing. So I find it interesting that that's something I'm doing right now. And basically, it's not just that. Back in the day, and there's a reason why I'm saying it right now. Back in the day, even among the Greco-Roman culture, so I'm reading from this article, a similar thing. A woman's role, particularly in a high society, was spinning of wool. A wool, was a home occupation. She didn't have to work. Her mind should not get involved with philosophy in the case of the Greco-Roman tradition. And I guess there is that element of the Stoic philosophy that somehow encouraged the women to get involved with developing a mind. And the same thing is true with the Talmudic discussion, in which one of the rabbis basically said a woman should be involved in Torah. And it has nothing to do with the adulterous act, the accusation. It's just simply developing the mind to deal with worldly affairs. And I guess that type of issue goes on today. I mean, in Orthodox Judaism today, the question would be, do you have women ordained as rabbis? There is an old student of mine who answered me in our Facebook after acknowledging my role in somebody's birthday or whatever it is or accomplishment, I addressed her as a chaplain. She said, Professor, I'm no longer a chaplain, I'm a rabbi. So my next communication on a Facebook is Rabbanit. And she was offended by it. She said a Rabbanit is a rabbi's wife. Wait a second. That's as a rabbi's wife. It may well be the Hebrew equivalent of a rebbitzin in Yiddish, but the word Rabbanit is also used in left-wing modern Jewish orthodoxy, if I can use another term, I would, where they do ordain women, by the way. If you know the name, Rabbi Avi Weiss, who's now made Aliyah to Israel. There's a whole Vei Torah movement, I guess, where you have Avi Weiss is a male. No, but his yeshiva does have ordination women, and women do carry a certain ordination degree called a smicha for women, I guess. And you call these rabbis, if they so choose to be called this way, a rabbanit.
Allegedly Orthodox or Reformed?
We're talking about orthodoxy. We're talking about orthodoxy right now.
Is that feminine singular?
Outside?
Is that feminine singular? Rabbanit. Feminine singular?
His name is Rabbi Wise.
No, the Rabbanit, the title for.
Oh, Rabbanit is a.
Feminine singular? Single?
Singular.
It's singular. It's singular. Yeah. If you want on the board, Rabbanit.
And plural is
All right,
Rabbanot.
one second. This is not something Zev Garber is inventing right now. I've seen the word Rabbanit by women who are very traditional, who wear a scarf on their head like Hannah does when they're married, who basically are into Torah study, who actually lead communities. They have them in Israel as well. They have women minyanim, and the Rabbanit is there to lead them, this type of stuff. Anyway, the word Rabbanit, and again, you keep in mind some of the characteristic Hebrew that we know. Words ending with Kirkut Tav is probably a marker of a feminine noun. Anyway, I made my former student, who is a Rabbanit. She's ordained by the American Jewish Council of Religion, whatever they call themselves, and acknowledging if she wants to be. She's a rabbi, so I'll call her Rabbanit. But the point is, she got confused and felt a little disturbed that she's not a rabbi's wife. She's not even married. But she's a rabbi, okay, so I'll call her Rabbanit, unless she doesn't want me to call her that either. Baruch, let me just finish. Anyway, I'm telling you all this right now because of the following historical development. The greatest sage of them all, the Arab-Israeli world. I'll give you two of them. One is Saadia Gaon from the 10th century Babylonia, and the other one is Maimonides. And Saadia Gaon basically is responsible for the decision of halacha made by the Rambam in his Mishneh Torah, which is a halachic treatise on Jewish law, in which Saadia Gaon essentially suggested that a woman should be encouraged to study Torah. So the actual decision of teaching a daughter Torah is not necessarily from the Soda thing that I referenced already. It comes a few centuries before. Again, it's not to replace the male per se. The woman has her own obligations, but it's not, so to speak, antithetical for a woman to get involved with Torah. And basically from that is the argument that a woman's mind can also comprehend deep discussions that men get into day and night. And maybe that's the reason why women cannot get so involved, because day and night means, an invasion of their domestic responsibility. And for people like Yirmiyahu and for my other two students, let me be very clear. If Judaism claims to have 613 commandments, which by the way was finalized by the Rambam, then all negative commandments are obligatory for male and female, and positive commandments are restricted to the female. So the woman will basically say, well, what about me? Can't I also do the positive ones? The positive ones deal with time, some of them. And consequently, can a woman basically go running to a Beit Knesset every morning when she has 5 little children to take care of? It's not that easy. So she's not obligated or required or encouraged. And then as Hannah will tell us, a woman has 3 commandments which a male is not obligated to do. One of which is the Nerot of Shabbat. Second one is baking the challah for Shabbat. And the third one is the monthly visit to the mikvah. A male can do these things. He's not required or obligated. You understand? So the different communities. But then you have the Rambam himself, who basically is involved with philosophy, with world culture, with with our philosophers, etc., who basically suggested that not teaching the daughter the Torah, so to speak, is probably a good idea because the woman's mentality would not be able to be utilized this way full time. It's not showing disrespect, it's showing that there's a gender distinction. And that's followed basically to this very day, except the following is happening. In the state of Israel, the Rabbanut is Orthodox. In the state of Israel, the Rabbanut has the month of May into June as being the month that women, Baruch, listen carefully, that women take rabbinic examinations. What? Women, only women. The exams they take is rabbinical. The objective is Rabbanit. We're talking about orthodoxy in Israel is having ordination of women or whatever they're giving these women. They certainly are not just simply teachers. They're taking rabbinical examinations. Why am I saying it right now? Because this morning I heard that they're stopping it right this moment. No doubt because of the tension in Israel. Baruch, I want you to ask your Rav, is he aware of the fact that the Rabbanut in Israel has rabbinic ordination or something of that nature for women?
No, but check it out. Going back to Moses, he taught the women, then he taught the men. He taught the women, so the women would teach the children. So this concept that the women are taught is
Okay, that's fine. But you see, that's what's happening right now. And the fact that you have certain Jewish congregations which are traditional where women lead the service or give sermons. In fact, a woman can read the Torah as long as the congregation is a woman's congregation. Oh, there are all kinds of things that seem so different than the statement, kind of father teaches daughter Torah. I just find it interesting that this whole article deals with this, and it reflects the time as well. Back in the Greco-Roman period, women were also restricted. And then you have an element that somehow emphasizes that they need to be equal to us. And that's definitely what's happening right now with women. How can I say to you? Even at Yeshiva University, there are women in their Talmud classes. All right, this is what happens as you go to a new age, as you might say. Okay, and look at Zev Garber. We're teaching you Hebrew, and we're using a book by a woman, not by a man. I don't think that has any connection. All right, people, I guess I went into something right now, and I made that particular point. Okay, and Baruch, thank you for what you wanted to say, but you got so involved with this thing, and it makes it interesting. Okay, all right, okay. All right, I'm looking now at the next word she has there, Americai and Americani. Why does she have these 2 words? I guess it's because over the decades, the word Americai and Americani have been used alternatively to describe an American. And you just follow the same rhythm. Americai is male, and Americait is feminine. Americaim, Americaiot. She only uses one word rather than the 2 words I've been using. Okay, the word Americani sounds more American. Americai, I guess, sounds whatever. That's where it is also used. When it comes to Tzorfat is France. So from the name of the country, like Yisrael, you have Yisraeli. From America, you have Americai. From the word Tzorfat, you have Tzorfati. And then you go on, Tzorfatiyat, Tzorfatim, Tzorfatiot. If I want to be very particular about it, the word Tzorfati will be male, female, and be male adjective as well as noun. Tzorfatiya in my humble opinion, is a Frenchman as a noun. Tsarfatit is the word French as an adjective. And indeed, when it comes to language, we don't call the French language Tsarfatia, we call it Tsarfatit. So here's a good example where my two usages are important. Tsarfatim versus Tsarfatiim. So Tsarfatim will be Frenchman as a noun, and Tsarfatiot is both the adjective and noun. For the word Anglia, look at how it's spelled, Anglia, first syllable is CVC, and underneath the gimel is a shvana. When you have two shvas following each other in a word, the first is always nak, the second is always na. And so the second syllable is C ayin. You go on with the lamed, it has a chirik with a dagesh and a yud. So it's C ayin CVC, that yud is doubled. And the last syllable is yud, kamatz, CV, and the hey at the end is a vowel consonant, so it's a C in brackets. I find it interesting that the word Anglia has that ya ending to it, which ought to give you some kind of interpretation that the English, I guess, in their own way, have seen themselves as God divine, as God destined. Otherwise, why would you have a ya at the end of the word Anglia? And why would you have the word Brit in the case of British? And I suspect over the centuries, some English pastor or wise guy has come up with that already. Just interesting to note, Anglia. Anglia is English, whereas America is American. And you don't speak American, you speak English in this classroom. Or maybe we speak American. Anyway, Angli, male and female, is male noun as well as adjective. Anglia is a feminine English noun. Anglit would be the adjective. And then Anglim, and Angliim, and Angliot. If you come from Russia, the word for Russian or Russia in Hebrew, Russia. Rus, not Russia, it's Russia. A shvana, she writes underneath the samach. Russia, with the emphasis on that first syllable. Otherwise, she won't give that marker. Russia. You get Rusi, both noun and adjective. Russia is the feminine. You see the difference? Russia is Rusya, and the Russian female is Rusia, and a Russian feminine adjective singular is Rusit. The language of Russia is called Rusit, not Rusia. Rusim and Rusiim and Rusiot. Germania, not Germania. Hit the second of the three syllables, Germania. Why? Based on Hebrew, that second syllable is a closed syllable with a short patah. Why it has to be accented? Or the word is borrowed, that's why. So we don't say Germania, it's Germania. And it looks just like the word German. German is Grmn. Hebrew is Germania, Gimel Resh Mem Nun. That's how words are translated or transliterated. Germany is both noun and adjective. Germania is a feminine noun German person. Germanit is the adjective, like the word language, Germanit. Germanim and Germaniim. So Germanim is your adjective and Germaniim is your noun. And then Germaniot is both noun and adjective. And finally, Italia, Italy. And notice that Italia has a Yud Kamatse at the end. Notice that Anglia has a Yud Kamatse at the end. And isn't that interesting? And Jeremiah is saying, Yirmiyahu is saying, what makes them interesting, Professor? Because you have the God syllable. And one thing England and Italy have in common is not that they play football together. Both countries are known to have expelled Jews at one time or another. In the case of Italy, the expulsion from Sicily, whatever. In the case, and then what about the Italians in World War II, for God's sakes, with Mussolini? And then you have the situation with England and Edward I, if I remember correctly, and his expulsion of all Jews for several centuries till they came back under Cornwallis or whatever his name was. Anyway, nations with the God syllable are known to the famed Jewish people. You can have a whole sermon on that. All right. And what about Jews, the Ashkenazim? That word Ashkenaz is nothing more than another word for Germany.
But there's a son of somebody was named Ashkenaz in the Bible.
Is that so? Is that so? All I know is that Ashkenaz, all I know is that Ashkenaz bothers me, particularly when I have to write that word like this, Ashkenaz. My God, are you people so blind? Ashkenaz, Ashkenazi. I see the word Nazi in it. Ashkenaz, I see the word Aish in the word Ash. Ashkenaz is nothing more than fire somehow and Nazis. And people like Hannah and people like Baruch, you call yourselves Sfaradim. For God's sakes, what the hell do you think Sfarad did to you? They expelled you, didn't they? 1497, whatever it was there. What was it, 1490?
1492.
That's how much my mind remembers anymore. Yeah, and 1497 was Portugal. Boom, 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 boom. And yet we Jews call ourselves after those who expel us. And Hannah would say, Professor, please, it's our way of always remembering what they did. Why do you think Persian Jews do not get rid of the name of Cyrus? Cyrus was the one that helped the Jews. Persian Jews will never forget Iran. Iran has the kever of Mordechai and Esther. No matter how ill they are today, we cannot forget.
It's in the city of Shushan. Do they still call it
Well,
Shushan?
that's how people are going to keep the memories going.
What's the
Daniel Nabi,
How's that?
Nabi Daniel, and Irmael.
I don't hear.
All other rabbis. Rabbi?
Yeah, no, not Rabbi.
Hannah, I didn't hear you.
Irmael Hanabi.
Jeremiah the
David,
prophet.
yes.
The prophet. Jeremiah the prophet. Jeremiah Hanabi. Jeremiah Hanabi the prophet.
And Daniel.
Okay.
Daniel.
Daniel.
And Daniel too.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel Hanabi.
Okay. All right. So it's more than just one or
No,
two.
only Esther Mordechai.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have four.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So what you have is then you have four personalities. I mean, that's it.
Thank you, Hannah. You know that. Then the Rebbe said.
That's why a woman should study Torah. Do you understand? It's just fascinating how the male and female gender, and in fact, there's in the abstract I'm doing, there's reference also to the following. Rabbi Akiva basically speaks about love your neighbor as yourself. That's one rabbi's opinion. There's another rabbi who says the basic verse of the Torah is not V'achaf l'recha kamocha, but the verse that speaks about this is the Toldot, this is the generations of man. In other words, the verse dealing with Adam, and from Adam comes the generations of mankind, suggesting humankind is more significant than the restrictive commandment of love a neighbor. Let's go think about that now.
So quickly, so Hannah is saying Jeremiah and Daniel are very.
They're related to Iran. Yes,
Okay,
that's what
alright,
she said.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. In other words, Iran is not just simply today's headlines. And it's very, very conceivable. What's happening right now, if this thing ever ends, you're going to have a different Iran, an Iran that's going to be first of all, interrelated with Israel, etc. The question will be now the Shah and his position. But first, let's get rid of what's going on right now. My understanding is that that within Iran, those regiment soldiers are being opposed by the people themselves. So there's internal fighting going on. But Jeremiah, who knows what's going on? I mean, unless you're right there and able to observe. Okay, and our job, of course, to keep with the Hebrew. But that word Germany and the Germans, ever since World War II, are one of the few countries that basically don't forget the Shoah. And if you go on train stations, I've been in Germany several times, there are signs when you enter a train station dealing with the Shoah, as if the Germans pick up very quickly the lesson. It was trains that took the Jews to the death camps. And so every train station that's major, they have a sign that deals with the Shoah, reminding the people that's what you got to remember when you enter a train station now. And then that Ashkenaz, with the spelling the way I have it on the board, is my little play upon words, but it blows me away when I write it. Okay, if you're into Italy or Italian food, etc., you have Italki. And again, the same thing, Italkia. The Italkia, the Kamatse will be more the noun, and Italkit, the Kirkutav, will be more the adjective. And if you notice with some of these words, she has the Kirkutav, like with Amerikait and Amerikainit, and the other words, she has the Kamatse words. The word Yisraelit, she doesn't have Yisraeliyah, she has Yisraelit. So based on what I gave you a couple of days ago, the endings of Kirkutav are the adjective U ending, and the Kamatse ending is the noun ending. And then finally, one other observation. The word Sorfat and the word Sfarad, she doesn't list Sfarad here. Spain and France, as those words are defined today, are mentioned in the book of Obadiah. In the book of Ovadja, which is the shortest book of the Hebrew Bible, only one chapter, there is reference of returning exiles from a place called Sfarad and a place called Safat. Let me see if I can find that verse for you. I don't have the Hebrew, but the Hebrew, the English should basically have it. Okay, the book of Obadiah is found on what page here? Page 818. Okay, 818. And if you're talking about mysticism and stuff like that, the one book of the Bible that's only one chapter in the English version I have is found on page 818. And that number 18 is Judaism's secret way of saying high life. So the book of Obadiah may well be one chapter, but one chapter is equivalent to life. And it's another way of saying don't ever look down at the smallness of something or someone. You have no idea what they can accomplish and how they can outlive you, outrun you, outbeat you, and out everything you. See what I do with numbers? The book of Obadiah says here, sentence number 20, and the captivity of the host of the children of Israel that are among the Canaanites, even until Tzorfat. The captivity of Jerusalem, that is Sfarad, shall possess the cities of the south. I doubt very much if sentence 20 of the book of Obadiah, which means the servant of the Lord, Eved Hashem, has in mind France and Spain. Again, just listen to the English. The captivity of the host of captivity, I mean Jews who are in exile, and the captivity of the children of Israel that are found among the Canaanites, even until Tzorfat. Does that mean the land of Canaan, which is what's called Israel, preceding Israel, even into France? I doubt it. Tzorfat is something somewhere around the boundaries of Canaan. And the captivity of Jerusalem, that is in Sfarad. Does that mean the exile of Jerusalemites were found in Spain? I doubt it. Sorfat and Svarad are mentioned in Obadiah, and only later on are they associated with France and Spain.
Do you think they could be Safat? Safat?
Sfat itself, I don't think so.
There's no relation
No.
to it.
No, it's a good attempt. Sorfat and Sfat are written, you might say the same way, but one has a race to it. Yeah. Okay, people, just some play upon Hebrew and how it's used. And then she goes on here with Miksoa. If you look at the page 140, Miksoa is profession and discipline, I guess. Miksoa. Notice the spelling of that word Miksoa. She shows where the accent is. You should know by now that what you have here is a long vowel. It's closed by the last letter ayin, but we told you that laryngeal letters, namely the het letter, the ayin letter, not the aleph and not the hey, when there's the last letter of a word preceded by a vowel which is not the sounding vowel, there's a stolen patak phenomenon. The word is mikso, but to blend to the ayin letter, you go miksoa, miksoa, and the a is pronounced before the last letter. So now you have different miksaot, different, I guess, professions. Musica, if you're a male, it's musikai, you're a musician. Musikait, I guess, is a word for musician feminine. Again, you can also say musikai, musikaiya, but probably musikait. Musikaim is the masculine plural, and musikaiot is the feminine. If you're into sport, notice how she writes sport. She doesn't bother to put anything underneath the resh. And I guess that's Israeli writing without vowels. But if you're going to vocalize your word, put a shvanach underneath the resh. Sport. And then you have sportai, sportait, sportaim, sportaiot. The words all sound like your English word. Politica. Well, look where the accent is on that word. Politica. Not politica. Poli on the second syllable. Politica. And then politikai. That I ending, by the way, in my opinion, is not Hebrew. It's really an Aramaic influence. Or maybe it's not. I mean, you have words in Hebrew, bevadai, for example. Bevadai is a word that comes to mind, which means certainly, of course, bevadai. Written like this. So you explain it normally by saying that is an ah sound closed by a yud. It's a diphthong. Ah, and probably originally the aleph had some vowel under it. That's why we don't bother to make a reference anymore. It could be the influence of Aramaic as well. Halavai is another word, if only, halavai, vadai. And now you have a series of words as she gives you for related to different professions. A kimai, a sportai, a musikai, psychologia. Psychologia is psychology. Psychologia. Psycholog is psychologist, masculine singular. Psycholog.
Like they're trying to catch your attention. It's like, I don't think
All I know is she's got an asterisk after psycholog. Why she puts an asterisk there, I don't know.
That's masculine singular, you said?
Yes, yes. When you see the 4 columns, the first is masculine singular, second is feminine singular, and masculine plural, feminine plural. Okay, but psychologit is, well, if you happen to go into that profession, it would be nice for you to know the Hebrew word. Psychologia is psychology, psycholog would be a psychologist. Sociologia, sociologia, sociologia. Sociolog is sociology. No, sociologia is sociology. Sociolog is a sociologist. Why she brings us in the Hebrew 1 class is beyond me. Well, it's nice to see the names. Zoologia. Zoologia. Zoo is zoology. It's not zoologia, it's zoologia. And then finally, philosophia. Philosophia. And philosophe is a male philosopher. Philosophite is a feminine philosopher. And then philosophie and philosophiot. She then writes on the bottom here, note that underneath the chart, note that the shape of the masculine singular form of nouns derived from nouns ending in logia. The logia differs in that the E ending is not added. I don't know what the point she's making here. She's looking at the words that have the star, the asterisk. She says the shape of the masculine singular form of nouns derives from nouns ending in logia. Okay. All right, people. Then you have an exercise where you have the writing of, the translation from English to Hebrew. All right, let's try to do that as well. Okay, Hannah, why don't you start? Read the English and then the translation to Hebrew.
There are new Israeli on campus. Yes. Yes. Israeli Hadoshim campus.
Okay, very good. Okay, yesh. Yesh, the word yesh means there is or there are. Yisraelim, right? Yisraelim would be the adjective. So Yisraelim, no, you're right. Campus, on campus. Be, the word be, that letter be means in, on, with, at. The other word would be the word au. Au means also on, but au, I guess, is something that's on, lying on something. So you say you're on campus, you're part of the campus, so it's big campus rather than our campus. Our is lying on something. Okay, take the next one.
The Americans are yes here. Yes. Yes. American.
You look at the chart.
Yes. Americaim. Hadoshim. Orchim. Yes. Orchim. American Hadoshim.
Okay, let's try this one more time. All right, the word the Americans, start with the word the Americans.
Americaim.
Okay, we don't need the word yesh. Yesh means there are. It doesn't have that. It has just simply the Americans. So Americaim or Americanim, and now our guess.
Americaim. Orchim.
That's it. Po, that's it. The word po means here. Orachim or Orachim, if you want to be better Hebrew. Orachim, not Orachim, Orachim. Again, it's a question of being more grammatical, which is spoken Hebrew. Let me write down that word in the plural, Orachim. And even I just fall into Israeli pronunciation. The word Orachim is the CV is the first syllable, and then you have CIN, CVC is the second one. And the way people say that word, they actually say the word as or. They break it after the resh. It's not really a shana here. It's a shana. So it's Orachim. Okay. And that word po is the Hebrew word for here. Po. Po. And again, when you write without vowels, the pei hey by itself could easily be read as the word peh. Peh is the Hebrew word for peh, mouth. Peh. Po spelled the same way, but the vocalizations, one has a cholam chaser, the media cholam, the other one has a segol. That's why when you read Hebrew without vowels, you cannot tell whether the pei hey is po or peh, but in the context of the sentence, you can tell it's probably either one. Okay, otherwise you read well. Hamerikaim or Himpo. Yirmiyahu, you have a question?
Yeah, what was number 2, right?
She just did number 2.
Okay, and what is it? Ha America, say it again?
Hamerikaim, look for the word Americans. Just one second. On page 139, you will have the chart with the, people from different countries. I go with the Amerikaim or Amerikanim, whatever you want. Amerikaim, that's what you see there. Use the word. And then Orachim is the word for guests. And the word po is here. Hebrew does not have a word translating or. It's a present tense, so to speak. So what she translated in Hebrew was the Americans guessed here. If you want, you can use the word haim. Remember, the third person can be used in replacing the missing is or are word. So haim, Hamerikaim, haim or himpo. All right, the next two. Go Yirmiyahu. First read the English.
The English, I think you said I need.
All right, on page 141, read the English on top.
I need Frenchman and Englishman at the bank.
Okay.
And says I need Ogesh.
That's it.
How do you say? How do you say? Safartin.
Okay. Okay, I understand. Or at least you're getting closer. The word is sorfatim, first of all. Yeah, I should make a comment about that in a second. Okay, the word sorfatim, I'm looking at her chart. Sorfatim will be the noun. Sorfatim will be the adjective. Okay, so Frenchman, and then the word Englishman. All right, look at the chart, Englishman, and you have Englishman, and then she has Angli, Anglia, Anglim, Anglim. Okay. Not Angliyim, that would be the adjective. Anglim, the way she writes it. At the bank? My bank. Okay, let's just take a look at that word sorfatim. I did not comment on it, but I better comment on it right now. The way I'm pronouncing the word sorfati, sorfatia. Here the sound underneath the tzadi is the sound of an or. How come? Because I know a little Hebrew grammar. If you see the spelling of that word, in fact, let's take the word for France itself. The word for France is sorfat. Notice that tzadi has a kamatz under it. The kamatz can either be a medial kamatz, a long kamatz, you forget about it. It hardly occurs in Hebrew. And it can be a short kamatz. If it's a short kamatz, it has to be a closed syllable, unaccented. I see a kamatz, I see a resh followed by a shva. I'm assuming that the shva is a shvana. If so, it'll be tzarifat. But nobody says tzarifat. They say tzorfat. They say there's an or sound. And so if it's an or sound, this is a shvanach, CVC. Closed syllable, unaccented, is a short kamatz. The second syllable begins with the letter Fe. The Fe letter is a Bega Kefa letter. The Bega Kefa letter follows a Shvanah, which is like following a consonant. It should be a Dagesh Kal. The word should be Tzorpat, but we say Tzorfat. We pronounce it as an F sound, not as a P sound. How come? First, let's get down to syllable CVC. And the only explanation I can give is that the word itself is not Hebrew as Hebrew is Hebrew. It's meant to create the sound for France. And France, just think of that word, F-R-A-N-C-E. It's an F sound. France, that fat is probably a way to create the FR. And Baruch would say, well, how come it's not PR? It should be PR, which will represent FR better. But then again, Hebrew is left to right or right to left. It reverses the letters. I am not exaggerating. This FR business is captured in the Reish Fe. Grammatically, there should be a Dagesh Kal in it. There isn't. And if you really want to be fancy schmancy, it should be a long Aminu Kamat Tzarifat. I won't be surprised if that's the proper pronunciation. But no one says Tzarifat. They say Tzorfat. All right, that's what happens when we have borrowed words, such as these country names, into Hebrew. And I guess what's very interesting is every one of these countries has the language related to the country name. The one exception is Hebrew. Hebrew has nothing to do with the word Yisrael, which is another reason why the way Hebrew is going right now, the language of Hebrew in the future will be called Yisraelit, not Hebrew.
But it'll be feminine, and the Israeli is feminine, isn't it?
Yeah, no, all languages will have a feminine name. That's not the issue. But Ivrit should really be Israeli to begin with, if given the names of countries are responsible for nouns which are derived, and the feminine singular of that noun is an adjective, it can be an adjective, and so it's the name for the language. But the other way to explain it is that Ivrit historically was not restricted to Israel. Ivrit was the language of the Habiros. The Habiros are no longer. You are the remnant of
The Hebrews are the Iraqi?
them. The Habiru group is not the same as the Jews. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, let's argue, were Hebrews, and they are the remnant of that which becomes the Jewish people. Yeah. That's why you have the strange association of Africans who claim we have the Hebrew roots too. That word kushia particularly is important. Check out that word kushia. It's not just Ethiopia. It's a good section of the Middle East. All right, people, I got to do this because we got to go on now. All right, the next one. You already did your Meet the Englishman and French with the Bank. Take one more, Mr. Yirmiyahu.
For the Israeli woman is a psychologist.
Look at your chart.
Hey Isha.
No, when she puts the word woman in brackets, you don't have to use the word Isha. Pick up the word Israeli, feminine singular from the chart.
Hey
Okay, Yisraelit.
Yisraelit.
or high Yisraelit.
High Israel, high Israel elite, high psychologist.
Look for the word psychologist and get it in the feminine. Okay, it's hard to say. Psychologit. Psychologit. Okay. All right. All right, let me go over this with you again. It's not okay. All right, the Israeli, when she says the Israeli, she wants it as a feminist, so she puts the word woman in brackets. And the word the Israeli. Again, I have my problem. The word Israeli, I'm looking at her chart again. She has one word for the feminine, Yisraelit. That's an adjective. So if it's meant to be an adjective, it's going to be Isha HaYisraelit. She doesn't have that in mind. She's using it as a noun. So she's using Yisraelit both as an adjective and as a noun. I would have the word Yisraeliyah. But all right, working with her her table, Yisraelit. And then she has the Israeli. Okay, do you see now my problem? If the word Yisraelit is meant to be, I guess, the noun, then you could say the Israeli woman. If I say the Israeli woman, then Israeli would be the adjective, and the word Isha would have to be used. Haisha HaYisraelit. But she means here the noun. So, HaYisraeliyah, I guess, or HaYisraelit, to use her word. And then is a, we don't have the word for is in Hebrew, or a, so Psychologit. Or if you want to put in the word he, Psychologit. Yirmiyahu, take one more, this time the Russian.
The Russian man works at the post office. Okay, so hey, Lucio Med.
Now find me the, look at the chart on page 139. Look for the word Russian. And the first column is the masculine singular. Harusi. Okay, Bador. Okay. All right, let's try it again. The Russian man works in the post office. Harusi, Oved, and then in the is the letter bet, strikes out the definite article. Bador. Bador. Okay, let's get down to the spelling of the word door. Door has the media cholam. It's difficult, people, but you have the books open. You have to go back and forth and back. The word for post office or post or mail, M-A-I-L, is door. Notice the spelling, Amiya Cholam. And then the post office is Hador. Then in the letter Bet comes along, strikes out the hay, takes over the vowel, Bador. Bador. We're found on page 130, 141, Ellie.
So there's two big Bador, or it's just Bador?
Bador.
Oh, so there's not two bets in the beginning, it's a single bet.
There's not what?
There's just a single bet. There's not, because I see two bets right there.
No, what I did was to write the bet before Hador, then to show the bet strikes out the hay.
Oh,
Bador. Yirmiyahu?
So, I guess give me, so the Russian man, so it's, she's focused on man as the noun as opposed to the.
She means, when she says the word man here, she wants you to use the word masculine singular. When she says the Israeli woman, she wants the word Israeli in the feminine form, not in the masculine form. Otherwise, if you see Israeli, you go either one if you want. Normally, when you start to define, we go with masculine. But again, today's Hebrew is now gender conscious. Or put it this way, she's concerned that we use what she wants. Israeli feminine singular and Russian masculine singular. So Harusi, Ove, Bador are the next three. Go, Mr. Baruch.
I was gonna defer to Ellie. Can I do that? I defer to my fellow classmate Ellie.
No, Ellie's got to get back into it again.
But you speak Hebrew, okay, bro.
Do number 6.
Okay, so,
Read first the
the
English.
Germans are physicists, they work at the university. Germany. Sounds good so far?
Go ahead.
Then physicist.
All right, physicist, she doesn't give us the word for physicist, does she?
No, she doesn't.
I
She does
just-
physics, but not.
All right, I'll tell you what, we know the fact that she does not, she might have given us the word before.
PCKE?
Just wait a minute.
Yeah, it would be PCKE.
Where do you see her giving you the word before?
I just see PCKE.
No, I know you can make an attempt at it. That's not my point.
Oh, okay. You tell me.
All right, I don't think she gives us the word at all. No, don't even make an attempt. I'll tell you why, because you make an attempt, it's going to sound proper, but it's going to not be proper.
Because she has physics in her profession, but that's different than physicist.
No, wait a minute, Baruch. She has not given us the word. She's given us the word psychology. Oh, here's the word physics. My mistake. Yes, she has the word.
140. That's what I'm
On
telling
page
you.
140. Okay, look at the chart there. Go ahead.
PCKE. Germani PCKE, right?
Look very carefully. Physikaim.
Or PCKE. No, this is pronounced PCKE. So you PCKE. Okay. Yeah, Ed, how do you say name? Haim, right? Haim,
Just keep on.
Oved, Pa Universitat.
All right, if you have the word haim, ovade is singular. Make it plural.
Ovedet, Ovedat,
Ovadim. Ovadim.
Ovedim. Haim, Ovedim, Pa Universitat.
Okay, at least we got down at the university, Ba Università. All right, let me go over it carefully again. The word the Germans. The fact that she doesn't put male or female, you assume the word will be masculine. Then you double check the chart. As I'm going back a page or two on page 139, I see the word German. I see the word in the plural Germanim. And again, Germanim is the noun. If this were an adjective, it would be Germaniim. So HaGermanim, the Germans, HaGermanim, are physicists. I look for the word physics, and I see it on page 140. I see the word physikaim. So HaGermanim, Haim physikaim, or just simply HaGermanim physikaim, Haim Ovdim at the university, HaUniversità, Be HaUniversità, the bet strikes out the Hey, Ba Università. HaGermanim physikaim, Haim Ovdim Ba Università. The next one, Baruch, continue.
Okay. Okay. Haim, he is. Who is he? Who?
All right, Baruch, again, read the sentence.
Okay, he is a philosopher. He talks and talks about philosophy.
Okay.
Who? Let me see. Philosophe.
Let me hear you say that word again for philosopher.
Philosophe.
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 Okay. You're getting there.
Below so, who the bears, the bears, the bears, the bear, philosophia.
All right, you have it, but not complete. The same sentence, number 7, Ellie, read for us in Hebrew.
הוא פילוסוף, הוא מדבר ומדבר על פילוסופיה.
Okay, he's got it more or less correctly.
Who?
Okay,
Metaber?
midaber, right. The word to speak in Hebrew, midaber. Go back over the PL form. We had the PL conjugation already. It's with that mem. Mivashel, mivashelet, to cook. Mivashlim, mivashlot, midaber, midaber, midaberim, midabrot. Not daber. Daber by itself is the commanding form. Daber, speak Hebrew. Daber, Ivrit. And then about philosophy, al, the letter ayin lamed. Al means on. Al can also mean about.
So who made the bear? He talks and talks, but who made a bear? Well, there would be an issue no, that the bear. Who
Okay.
made the bear? Because it only says it. Like,
One
however
more.
it says
All right, Baruch, let me correct one other thing. Just 1 minute. The word is medaber, first of all. Again, when it comes to verbs, you should be able to vocalize it. Hu medaber. The next word is medaber. And then you should remember your rules of the vav hipur, the vav hachibur, the vav of conjunction. The vav is normally pointed as a shvanah. However, before certain letters, the bilabial letters, the bet letter, the pei letter, the mem letter, and the vav letter, the vav is pointed as a shurak. Umidaber, umidaber, not vimidaber, umidaber. It's just so much I can do. You have those. You should have these charts in front of you. Umidaber. Okay, just 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, the word medaber, medaber. All right, several things I want to make very clear to you. Let me just make sure I see this right here. All right, if I take the word mem dalet bet resh, this is like a little review, but it's important that you hear it. When you write without vowels, those 4 letters can not only be midaber, it can also be the word midbar. Midbar. Midbar is a desert. And those 2 words are definitely, psychologically in my mind, related. 40 years in the wilderness, in the midbar. How do people wait for Hashem medaber? Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe v'nei Israel. And the letter Vav, again, is called the Vav HaChibur. Chibur is the Vav of conjunction, your word and. And then there's another Vav called the Vav HaChipuch. Which in English goes as the conversive. Conversive, Conversive, the Vav that changes the past to the future to the past. How many times does the Torah have the phrase Vayedaber? And Vayedaber is not, and he will speak, but he spoke, and God spoke. So I find it interesting that the verb to speak and the word desert have the same root. And what you wait for when you're in wilderness for 40 years is Vayedaber. Why does not God speak? And related to the word to speak is the word davar, the word thing. Thing in speech. And when Chava and Yirmiyahu and Baruch and Eli speak, what do you speak about? You speak about things. You speak about a Bachura.
Chutzpah.
You speak about your neighbor's wife. You speak about the daughter that should get an education in the Torah. Eli's absence was probably very appropriate. We spoke about Sota today. We spoke about adultery.
So that if a woman was
It's all right. Eli doesn't have to worry about that. It's the woman who takes the bitter water, not the male. It's okay.
I remember learning about that.
Yeah.
the waters of the way
Listen, all I can tell you is there's the other verse that's cited in this controversy. Akiba claims, V'achat l'recha is the major one. And an opponent rabbi says, no, it's the book of the generations of man that's crucial, mankind. All right, let's finish this before we take our necessary break. Okay, so again, he's a philosopher who philosoph, who medaber al philosophia. Baruch, take the next one.
Okay. Politicians, let me see. Okay.
Politicians love to talk. Go ahead, now
Yeah.
give me the Hebrew. Look
Okay.
for the word politician.
Politikai
Go ahead.
ahavot hadaber.
Okay, you got basically the words, but not the right order. Okay, one second. The word for politicians, again, I'm looking at my chart here. Politikaim. She's right about that. Politikaim will be the word as a noun. Politikaim. It's a big, hard word to say. Politikaim. Okay, the politicians love. Ohavim ledaber. I'm not so sure she gave us the word love yet, but let me just get it. Just wait a second. Let me just get it down. The word to love, the shorish of that word is aleph hey bet. All right, pay attention, everybody. You follow the example of a shlemim example. This word is not shlemim, it's a pei aleph and it's a lion hey verb. But as far as your instructions so far, you follow in the so-called present tense a shlemim example. Ohev looks like shomer. Ohevet looks like shomeret. And then you have the shomerim. So the plural shomerim should be ohevim. The hay does not take a shvana, so in its place the hatapata. Ohavim and ohavot. Otherwise, the singular will be like a shlemim verb. Ohev, ohevet, it will be like shomer, shomeret. But ohavim, the shvana, is being replaced now by the hatapata, since the original letter cannot take a shvana. I don't think she gave us the word ohavim, I don't know. But anyway, the proper translation, politikaim ohavim, to speak or to talk, the daber. Eli, try to do the last two. Rena's a very good sportswoman.
רינה היא ספורטאית טובה מאוד.
Okay,
Renahi,
so no, he did it well. All right, Rena, 1 second. Rena is feminine. So look for the word sportswoman.
ספורטאית.
No, he's got it down. Rina Sportait. Look at the chart on page 140. Rina Sportait, or rather, is a very good one. So Rina Sportait Tova Ma'od. You take a noun, which is your predicate of Rina. Rina is a sportswoman, and then very good will follow that.
ma'od.
Me'od is very. Me'od.
And I said טובה because it's a female.
And Tova will be feminine, correct. All right, the word Ma'od is spelled with a media cholam. Me'od. The word Me'od. Okay, I'm thinking of the word modecha. Okay. You know, when you say the Shema Yisrael, v'chafta et Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol meodecha. Yeah, let me just take a moment. Bear with me. You have the Shema. Again, I told you my own particular restriction. As long as I have a text in front of me in Hebrew, and if I quote Hebrew, I prefer to have the text, no matter how well I know the verse, to be in front of me as well. Judaism's very famous sentence is found in Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6. Let's just find it for 1 second. Sentence number 4 is the Shema Yisrael, Hashem Lokeinu, Hashem Echad, v'achafta et Hashem Lokecha. So love the Lord your God, b'chol levavcha, with all your heart, b'chol nafshcha, with all your soul. And then it says, b'chol meodecha, with all your might in translation. The Hebrew does not have the word might. Me'odecha, with all your ma'od, with all your veriness. So where does might come from? There are other versions of that sentence which have the word bechol koach, with all your kohacha, with all your strength. So here's where the English uses the word strength. The Hebrew is the word very, me'odecha. Another verse helps us with the word strength. That's what happens when you read something literally. Is it really that word to begin with? Why does the Shema not have the whole koach hecha? It doesn't. Other places do. Okay, take one more and then that's it. Americans are always running. They're always very busy.
אמריקאים תמיד
Ratzim, okay.
רצים, הם תמיד מאוד עסוקים.
How do you say busy?
עוסקים,
Okay, let me correct you. Americans, Amerikaim, are always running. Amerikaim tamid, the word for always. The word varies, ma'od, always is tamid. Okay, let's get it down for everybody. The word tamid would be always. The word running is from the Hebrew verb resh vav tzadi. We don't know the ayin vavs yet. And the present tense, masculine plural, is ratzim. Amerikaim tamid ratzim. That word tamid should be known to 3 of us in this classroom. Chana, Baruch, Eli, and the madrich of them all, me. Go into a Beit Knesset, over the Torah scroll. There is a light that's eternal. It's an electric bulb. It's called a ner, a fire, a candle, tamid, eternal light. So that's how you can remember the word tamid. Tamid means always or eternal.
So
Amerikaim, tamid, 1 second, tamid ratzim. They're always running. Okay, now they're always busy. Haim, again, the word always, haim tamid. The word busy is asuk. Asuk is masculine singular. Asuk is masculine singular. As you make it plural, add your character in mem. This kamatz is now 2 places removed from the accent, reduces to achatapata, asukim. It reduces to a shvana, but since the ayin cannot take a shvana, then it's placed to achatapata, asukim. Asukim is busy.
So Amerikaim tamid ratzim haim
That's right. All right, people, it's been a long hour already so far. Take your 20-minute break, and then we'll do some verbs with you.
And on the final Thursday, we have a special guest coming into class, Rabbi.
When's the final Thursday?
Rabbi, no, on Thursday, next week, Thursday, Rabbi Block's coming here.
Okay,
Second,
Yirmiyahu,
synagogue
Just come
to
up here.
open in Valley Village.
Yeah?
Yeah. You heard of David Midrash Torah Hashem?
Yeah.
Or right there, where the Kalel was, down there?
Colors, yeah.
He's the one that's it, he's the one that did all
Oh,
that.
he's going down there?
Well, I mean, he's the one that started all that because somebody else had run it. Yeah. He's
I-
like old school, you wouldn't know.
Ellie, is there any? I hope you don't have any problem with that, do you?
No. I'm
He's
just
looking
saying
forward to it,
I
he
didn't
just didn't know he went to the different
I'm
generation.
just saying I didn't know who he was.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with
The
that.
following way, the following way.